the #1 player to ever hit the portal, and I decided to transfer to Pitt. If I had $1 for every person that thought I was going to attend the SEC, I wouldn't have to pursue an NFL career to be rich. Don't get me wrong, the SEC would have been a great choice. Go to a school like Bama or Georgia, but I decided to go to the ACC for a few reasons. This team has been dominating the last few years, climbing their way up, getting better and better every single season. And two, who's our competition here in the ACC? Nobody. It's week 1, we're ranked number 17 in the country, and we have FSU here at home, and we're looking to dominate and start our season off the right way. But I gotta be honest about something. My decision to depart from JMU has been eating me up the last couple of weeks, and I really don't know how to feel or think. Like, yeah, I could have stayed, toughed it out with the team, but things got so bad that coaches and even some of my teammates was telling me I deserved better. Like, I bursted on the scene, took over college football by storm, put JMU on the map, and we were going crazy. But then the next season, my head coach retires, I'm bumping heads with my quarterback and offensive coordinator, and my defense was the definition of inconsistent. So as much as I wanted to stay loyal to my team at university, things just got way too far out of hand. We getting this season off to a great start, a dub over FSU at home, 29 carries for 224 and 2 touchdowns. We got 0-2 New Mexico this week, and luckily they ain't got Tristan Massey on their team no more. That boy was a dog. Aside from the multi-million-dollar NIL deal, there were a few factors that came into play that kind of swayed my decision to come here to Pitt. Because if I'm being completely honest, Pitt wasn't even one of my top 3, not even one of my top 5 schools that I wanted to transfer to. But since we're on the topic, my top 3 schools were Texas, Michigan, and LSU, but I was really high on LSU. That meant I get to go back home down south, and if you look at LSU's recent history, they produced some dominant big-time running backs. But the main thing that kept me from going to LSU was I was gonna have to sit behind the guy and or share the workload, and I ain't sharing my load with nobody. Another home game, another win, 34 carries for 232 yards, 2 touchdowns. I don't even have words for how great my offensive line is. The difference between Duke football and Duke basketball is night and day, but we got these boys on the road this week. Believe it or not, I almost didn't transfer here to Pitt or to any school in the country for that matter. I received the craziest phone call ever. A woman I used to deal with a little while back randomly hit me up, and she said she was, you know, and that I was the daddy. And you know that feeling when you stand up out the bed too fast, real lightheaded, just don't know what's going on? That's how I felt in the moment. I was just completely distribulated. Long story short, I'm not the father. She was just looking for a quick bag, but that would have put everything on hold. But we do secure a very close 3-point win over Duke, and we pick up our 3rd win on the season. 26 for $174. Didn't touch the end zone once the entire game. I cannot lie though, they defense is alright. Ever since I became the man in the college football world, it seems like everything outside of the football world has either shifted, tainted, or just been off in my life. From relationship issues, family and friends always having their hand out, and the people who are closest to me showing their true colors. I even got people who I thought loved me and genuinely cared about my well-being mad at me because of the way I choose to spend my time. Ain't that crazy? Like, they want to hit the club, they want to party, and I'm just not on that type of time. Like, I would rather hit the gym, maybe a workout, study a little bit so I can stay at the peak of my craft. Like, trying to guilt trip things that I know that aren't right for me, and I ain't having that. I have one of my best games thus far. 39 carries, 288 yards. We at a new school, but this same old dominant me. But for the average person, all of these personal problems and things away from their career and their craft would really send them into a mental block or crash. But I look at it like a type of obstacle or a test that I refuse to fail. All of those things have really turned me into a beast on the field. After dealing with all that stuff at home and arriving on campus, I was in the weight room going crazy. I know at some point I'm gonna have to deal with everything head up, but right now just isn't the time. But when the time does come, I'm willing to cut off any and everybody. Like right now, I even got smoked with my own mother. She's mad because I won't come out of my pocket every time she asks, like, can I get to the league and get the real bag first? But one thing about it, moms is always gonna be there no matter how much friction there is, but that just goes to show how rocky my life is right now. The amount of carries I'm getting every week is absurd. 30 carries, 279 with 4 total touchdowns. We got Old Dominion this week at home, and surprisingly they're 5-2 somehow. I need to check their schedule to see who they playing. We've gotten off to an extremely hot start this season, and I can't help but think a little bit ahead in the future. But I've always been one to say, focus on the now, live in the moment, don't think too far ahead, focus on what's right in front of you. We're just is hitting on all cylinders. Offensive line going crazy. My receivers balling out. My quarterback is playing top tier football. Can we go undefeated? Can we win a national championship? Can I win the Heisman for the 3rd straight season on 2 different teams? Now, even though all of those things are possible, it would take so much to go right for any of those things to be achievable. We secured a blowout win over Old Dominion, and you know I'm player of the game, walking out of here rushing for a cool $150. We got Navy this week, and a blowout will really set the tone really for the remainder of the season. When you play a lesser opponent like Navy, you have to make a statement and absolutely dominate across the board. If you can't destroy a team that won't even get into a bowl game, that might not even get any more wins this season, something is wrong. I mean, if you're talking about a conference championship or even a national championship, you have to perform as a team at the highest level possible. So we came out here today on straight business to set the tone, going full throttle. Like, we're up 45-6 in the 4th quarter and we still haven't pulled the starters. We came in here to dominate and set the tone, and we did that and more. 26 carries, 303, 5 touchdowns, absolute dominance. With me dominating college football, being what a lot of people consider an undersized running back, it raises a lot of questions. Take a look back at the recent history of all of the super fast, speedy guys that come through college football, the Dree Archers, the Tavon Austins, the DeAnthony Thomases. The stats, awards, and highlights that those guys were able to put up and achieve was absolutely otherworldly. They put on a show at the combine, get picked up in the draft, and then they don't have nowhere near the success that they had in college in the league. I'm not saying any of those guys were bad players, but it's 10 times harder in the league to have success when you're that undersized. The workload each week just gets bigger and bigger. 36 carries? 36? The infamous Notre Dame with a 5-4 record. What is going on in the college football world right now? With all this talk about the league, I'm not even sure if I want to come out this year or my senior year. Really a huge decision to make. Huge and very confusing. There's so many things, so many variables, so much that comes into play that will factor into this decision. It's wild. It goes back to our overall team success and then my own personal success. What kind of stats I'll put up by the end of the season, everything is crazy. But I know one thing, with a minute left here in the 4th quarter, only up 3 points, I'm gonna go ahead and take this one back to the crib and put this one to bed. And in only 9 games, I break Tony Dorsett's single season rushing record my first year here at Pitt. We secured a win over rival Notre Dame. We got fans in the stands going crazy, teammates going wild on the field. That's always a good time. A snow game at the crib against a very talented UNC team. These boys came to ball. And I have to say, I love the play calling, giving me design outside runs. Thank you, coach. One thing I would like is to be incorporated into the passing game just a little bit more so I can show off my versatility and use all of my tools. Because we all know my first couple years at JMU, I was catching them things out the backfield going crazy, going up top, making catches through traffic, doing it all. That goes back to wanting to be usable in the NFL. You have to be able to not only run the ball effectively, but you have to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield. Down 4 points under a minute left in the 4th quarter, and I do exactly what I just said. I step up in the passing game and I scored a game-winning touchdown. 25 for 225 and 4 total touchdowns, and boy, we needed all of it. UNC ain't no joke. Is Syracuse the only team in the country with an actual full-blown dome for the stadium? I really thought our strength of schedule down the stretch was really going to be weak, but these boys are 7-3. And honestly, with a record like that, we could possibly see these boys again in the conference championship, so we got to set the tone right now. Their defensive front is surprisingly a lot better than what I thought it would be, so every single opportunity I get to break off a big one, I got to go crazy. And I ain't gonna lie, got to give credit where credit is due. Offense, we did our thing per usual, but defense stepped up big time today against a great team. We got fans out here on road games going crazy. We're midfield celebrating a huge win over the Orange. 32 carries for over 300 yards on the ground, man. I can smell another Heisman Trophy. Miami, the number 2 ranked team in the nation, 11-0, and they stand between us and a national championship. Well, the U has really bounced back, huh? Undefeated up until the last game of the season. But I guarantee you, they've met their match in us. But if we slip, even in the slightest, the scale will tip in their favor. We're trying to establish the run game early, but also trying to catch them by surprise, putting the ball in the air a little bit more than usual. A low-scoring game here in the 4th. Defense has stepped up big time this game, and we're just continuing to capitalize here in the red zone. We secure a 28-14 win over number 2 ranked Miami, and we all know what this means. A very slight day by my standards, 28 carries for a $147, but we did have 4 very important touchdowns. I don't know how, somebody please explain it to me. How the hell did Boston College end up in the ACC championship game? When did our conference just fall apart? At no point in time did I think that Boston College would have the second best record. I don't understand that. As a team, I gotta be honest, we've already looked past Boston College to the national championship. A lot of starters sat this week. But even myself, I barely touched the field this game. But when I am on the field, you know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make big plays, I'm gonna go crazy, I'm gonna do my thing. Fans are literally in the stands, tossing our mascot after the big conference championship dub. It's crazy. I once held up a trophy as an American Conference champ, but now we are officially kings of the ACC. Only playing about 3/4 of the game, 27 carries for 272 and 3 rushing touchdowns. Big, incredible numbers. The only 2 undefeated teams left in the country. We got USC in the national championship game. Oddly enough, down 10-0 halfway through the second quarter, but I will soon get us into the end zone to shorten up that lead. Myself and coaches know getting me involved in the passing game is crucial this week. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of everything today. And just like expected, none of these linebackers or anybody in the secondary can keep up with my speed. I would find my way into the end zone for a 21-yard touchdown. We haven't had a lead once this game so far, but that would soon change. I make my way to the outside, kick it into another gear, up the sideline for a touchdown. Our defense hasn't allowed a point since the end of the second quarter. Now it's time for me and my offense to turn it up a notch and put USC down. We've accomplished so much here in just one season at Pitt. Do I return for my senior season and try to repeat the dominance, or do I enter the NFL draft?